All right. All right. And good afternoon from the Dog Bowl in Berea, Ohio. Day one of the 2019 Cleveland Browns training camp is in the books. I'm Jason Gibbs. He's Andrew Gribble. He's Nick Shook with a little sunscreen on today. Yeah. And this is the best podcast available. Day one of training camp recap. And coming up, you'll hear from Baker Mayfield. You'll hear from Odell Beckham Jr. We'll give you our game balls. We'll throw out a number of things here. In the next 30 minutes, we'll recap you on everything that went down here in Berea today and get you ready for day two on Friday. Another day with no pads, but a day closer to contact, which we like. And I think there was plenty of contact today, actually, by the way.
A little extracurricular activity going on early in practice. Maybe some guys new to the league or new to this environment don't necessarily understand that without pads, it's not 100% full go. It's more like 50 to 75%. Hey, you get excited pretty easily out there.
Yeah, and there's fewer roster spots open on this team than we're used to seeing. There's guys fighting out there. They know that there's a big sector of guys in this team know that they have long odds to get there. And I think that you're going to go out and try to impress on every single rep that you're out there. And I think coaches like to see that, but to an extent. You don't want to damage the merchandise. It's like say you don't want to get like there was a play out there today where Baker was scrambling, and I was just like, why don't they just blow this play dead? Like just we don't need to see this. Like let's just stop it now. But they let those plays kind of filter out. But it's just the mentality because you don't want accidents to happen. Like it would never. No one intentionally hurt one of these players, but when you're out there, you can channel
Step wrong.
Yeah, you can channel your inner whatever it is that makes you a good football player, and all of a sudden you did something bad.
That you get caught off balance or something like that. Today we saw, I believe it was Derek Willis catch a touchdown pass, and as he stepped into the end zone, we saw Sheldrick Redwine trying to pull up, and as he pulled up, Derek ran into him, and because Redwine was off balance and was just kind of slowing down, he got drilled right in the chest and flattened onto the ground. It's just that's what happens. It's incidental contact, and it's just the speed of the game.
Yeah, no question about it. It is the 25th overall and the 21st consecutive season. The team is holding training camp at the Cleveland Browns Training and Administrative Complex here in Berea in the Dog Bowl. Coming up again, as I mentioned, you'll hear from Odell Beckham Jr. You'll hear from Baker Mayfield as well. Right now, though, guys, I need a big takeaway. One big takeaway from each one of you after today's workouts.
I'm going first because I'm going to take Odell Beckham Jr. He was really good. He lived up to the hype.
Didn't need that OTA and everything.
It was just neat to see, even before, clearly the sequence where he made back-to-back catches on the sideline was fantastic. Had a touchdown later in the practice where he really just ran a stem route that just left Denzel Ward kind of flat-footed out there. And it just was, he was just wide open. And just showed you what he can do on the field. But it was just neat to – I think it was one of the first plays in 11-11s where him and Jarvis were literally right next to each other. And then Jarvis kind of moved out in motion. But, we were here last year and just going nuts over the fact that the Browns had a real wide receiver on this team in Jarvis Landry, a legitimate guy that was going to make impressive catches, practiced really hard, and it rubbed off on a lot of guys. And now all of a sudden – Jarvis is it's him and Odell. It's two of the best wide receivers in the NFL on the field together, and that's when you kind of realize this is real. This is what you have on offense, and you really are wondering how are all these guys going to get involved. I think we saw Rashard Higgins make a few plays with the first team. You saw Duke Johnson make a number of plays with the first team on little dump passes. So this is an offense with a lot of weapons. And just to see Odell in front of a crowd, the first day with a crowd here, it just showed you what we can expect in September, just the popularity that this team has with some of the star players that they've acquired in the last couple of years.
It's funny because, all of this attention is paid to Odell, and we all know everything that he brings to the table, or at least we're aware of his stardom, and that is, of course, rooted in his ability to play the game of football. But until you see it on the field and you see it in 11-on-11, it never really quite hits you. But then once it does happen in front of you, like it did today, you say now it's Jarvis and Odell. Well, it's Odell and Jarvis, and because everyone's all of a sudden turned and looking at Odell and watching him make these incredible catches, and nobody's even got any pads on. He's blowing by guys, and he's winning the close matchups as well. Terrence Mitchell had some really good coverage on him in 2 back-to-back really good receptions early in this practice. So you pay all of this attention to that. And then all of a sudden, Jarvis Landry is right there catching a pass underneath or going down the seam or catching a pass down the sideline, and he's beating his man. And these are good defenders. And that's when you realize, oh, my, is this receiving core very talented.
Yeah, I mean, you had a guy like Antonio Callaway couldn't get a rep with the first-team offense today. That was a starting receiver on your team for the majority of the season. And he's really good.
Pretty impressive.
He's going to play a lot this season. But with the way things were lined up today, he's with the second team.
And I don't want to shortchange Denzel Ward today.
Yeah.
Because despite Odell having a couple really good grabs and Odell having a good day, Denzel Ward looked pretty darn good today.
No, he's confident, and I think he had a really good pass breakup midway through practice, and I think this is only going to be better for Denzel. I can look at the schedule right now, and it's just when does he face a receiver on the level of Odell Beckham? I don't think he does. Yeah. So I'm just scanning right now. I just don't think he does. There's no one.
Yeah.
There's no one that's going to test him the way that Odell Beckham tests him right now. This is only going to make him better. So this is for week 1. He's going to go up against Corey Davis after facing Odell for a month. Corey Davis is all right. He's not Odell Beckham Jr.
I like our odds.
Yeah.
I like what we're doing with Denzel, and I also it's going to make these other corners better. I mean, it's going to make a T.J. Carey, Terrence Mitchell, Greedy Williams eventually if he gets back to seeing some first team defensive reps. It's going to make these guys better because you don't want to come out here and get embarrassed in front of a few thousand fans every day.
Yeah, I think looking down that schedule, probably the best receiver that he's going to face next year is hopefully a healthy A.J. Green for the Bengals' sake. I mean, that's somebody you see twice a year, but he's already seen him, before. It's somebody that the Browns are familiar with because he's been in the division for a long time. So, yeah, it's there's no better place, I think, to get better as a defense and as an individual player than during practice. And since we're at the start of training camp, we're going to see a lot of that this year. My big takeaway, though, doesn't even have to do with the players on the field so much as it has to do with the fans. We expected a big turnout, but I don't know if it's it might be one of those situations, again, like Beckham, where you think it and you envision it, but it's never real until it happens. And for me, this is also kind of a special moment for me because it's my first training camp practice with the organization, so it was a new experience for me as well. But to see all the fans, I mean, we're talking 5-6 deep, all the way back to the fence. Every bleacher is packed. People are chanting, "Here we go, Brownies! Here we go!" And then that first roar, that first catch that Beckham made today, when everybody in the bleachers and everybody watching erupted because it was a little sleepy early on.
I came out and I said it to a couple people. I'm like, it's awful quiet.
Yeah.
Like maybe this is how the morning practices are, and I just forgotten about that.
Camp's a slow build because you have stretch with some music. People are getting excited, and then you go into about 40 minutes of individuals, and that can get kind of boring.
People, yeah.
That can get a little dull.
Yeah.
But they woke up with that first catch, and the excitement was there for quite some time before it went back into working the special teams and individual drills and coming back around for the latter portion, which at that point some people have to leave. They got to go different places. It's a Thursday, it's a work day, and it's around noon.
Yeah.
So, not everybody's going to be able to come, but man, what a turnout for the first day of practice, and people were really decked out in all their Browns gear and all the custom posters and signs that people brought in and the custom jerseys, and just, man, there's just more excitement surrounding this team. And this is a passionate football town already. You don't have to do a lot to get these people excited, but it's through the roof after just one practice.
I got here at 7:45 this morning. Practice
nowhere
was
to
at
park.
10. I parked down the street. I don't even try to go to the lot over here. I'm like, I'll just park at the corner. I have a nice little stroll in the morning, walk by some fans and kind of gauge what's going on. And I think I got one of the last spots in the grass parking lot.
Yeah, I somehow found a way in there at around 9 o'clock, but I'm not sure who I blocked in to do so. I mean, I think, but it's crazy because today they played on field 3, which is the backfield with the smallest set of bleachers.
Yep.
When they move it out to field 1 and field 2, that's when you're going to feel the atmosphere even more here. So I would think we're on schedule for it to be out there once the pads get on.
And I would imagine tomorrow, with Friday's practice being the end of the work week, maybe some people cut out of work earlier, they take a day off, they grab their kids, it's
July,
still summer.
Yeah.
And they all come in, and they come in droves. And, yeah, if we do see the action more on those other 2 fields that are closer to the building with the bigger set of bleachers and also the VIP areas, there's some second-level tents and stuff like that where people can congregate. Oh man, I think it's gonna be like that for probably a week or so, and rightfully so. You know, these fans should be excited, and I think more than anything, they were just excited to be able to congregate together and watch their football team, even if they weren't even wearing pads.
I feel bad for the teams that don't do this. Like, I just don't. I don't
Like
get
the
it.
Eagles who have one practice.
One, Raiders don't have any. Like, this is maybe it wouldn't be like this in other cities, but it just like
But
why
it
not
is.
do it? Like,
Watch it on TV. Watch NFL networks around training camp.
It's
Like
12
in
hours,
Lambeau,
wall-to-wall coverage.
It's like the number of people. Like,
Yeah.
why would you not do this?
yeah, it's just I can't believe the teams are that secretive or whatever reasons
need
they
to be.
have. But
Yeah.
I would hate to see this ever go in a different direction of having less of these.
And you know what, on that point too, Freddie made a good point today after practice when somebody asked him about, you know, was he involved with the decision to have 15 open practices? And I think the big point that he made there that was important was that he understands that this is a passionate and unique fan base in town and region, but not that not everybody can afford to go to a game on Sunday. Let's face it,
Yeah.
the NFL is an expensive business. It's an expensive place to attend. You got to account for tickets, parking, concessions, whatever else that is involved. But they wanted to make sure that as many fans as possible could come do this and come do it for free. And I think that's very important because it's a loyal fan base that has been through some tough times, and I think they should be rewarded and be able to attend something like this.
My big takeaway, a practice that went over 2 hours.
Yeah.
2 hours and almost 15 minutes to be exact. Nice to see. I love the tempo. I just loved how it moved here from start to finish.
Yeah.
It was, and maybe it's because of who we have on our football team and the expectations, but just there was energy right from the get-go. I felt like there was pretty good energy and guys getting after it. I liked how the sessions were mapped out. You know, sometimes those special team sessions that we all kind of occasionally roll our eyes at, which we shouldn't based on how important it is after last year, and looking at what's going on this year in terms of that being the main competition. It was nice to see where that got slotted. It never felt like there was a lull. You know, I mean, the individual stuff is what it is, but you're watching guys. You're like, wow, look what's going on over here. What's going on over here with the running backs? What's going on with the linemen? You know, I'm watching which quarterbacks throwing to who. You know, tight ends. What are they doing? It was constantly. I just thought it was a good pace, and I like seeing practices go the full length and then some.
Yeah, there was very little time wasted, and I feel like, you know, we had that inside
That's
look.
the key right there.
Yeah, we had that inside look last year from Hard Knocks, and we got to see how Jarvis was kind of trying to change the culture. But I think he was alone, or maybe a man of just a few people in a group who really wanted to attack practice and really took it to that next level. Well, now he's got a teammate in Odell who arguably practices even harder than him, and I think that raises the level of competition among everyone. And let's face it, you know, these are two very talented units on offense and defense. They're also going to be very competitive, and we saw the first bits of that today because they were chirping at each other early on in these team sessions. I think it's going to be something that's going to come up a lot in the future.
There might be something to this with it being in the morning because maybe there were some times last year in training camp where you get to the guys near the end of the day and you look at them as a coach and you're like, these guys are zonked out by now. They've already been outside for an hour and a half for a walkthrough. Like they've been through a full day of, classroom type of stuff and everything like that. You know, maybe that's the advantage of having it in the morning. Like, all right, these guys if we're going to go long, we can just give them a little bit of a longer break.
Right.
You know, we can make adjustments to the schedule. So maybe that's an advantage with the morning practices. And, you know, again, this is a 2.5+ hour practice. They're not in pads. I mean, it's going to be a lot more grueling. Like you might as well get what you need to get done. You got plenty of time left in the day.
I think as someone who's not a morning person, if I were a coach, I would absolutely have practice in the morning. Like that goes against me. I don't even enjoy mornings. But
I did not enjoy my alarm going off at the time it went off.
No,
this
but
morning.
you're more spry, you're more engaged, and you're more ready. When the sun's still doing this and not doing this, you're more excited and interested in getting something done.
All right, real quick, game balls, offense, defense, special teams. Anybody that stood out to you today? Game ball.
You know, I'm going to do this based. It's tough to tell, but I think this affected some of Baker, what he did today, and some of the throws he missed. The defensive line just looks really good. Like they just look. There would have been a lot of sacks today had there been contact. They let some plays go longer when there probably would have been sacks. There were some clear sacks from Myles Garrett. there's just a lot of options with this group now where they're moving miles all over the place. I just, that group doesn't get talked about much, but that is a menacing looking group, and we saw it today, and they were giving the offense got theirs occasionally, but they were giving the offense plenty of issues.
Ogunjobi looked like Dikembe Mutombo.
Well, you don't see Baker get passes.
It was impressive.
Baker get his passes knocked down very much.
No.
And he had a few of them.
We talked about the interior of this defensive line and really the front four in general, and we've maybe even at times salivated over the potential. But since today was the first time we really got to see it in action, I feel like this is the first time where we weren't at full speed, but we were pretty close without the pads, where we first got a good look at the potential of this group, and it's extremely exciting. It blew away my expectations, and I anticipate that the offensive line will have something to say about it once they do put the pads on. But man, if they are like they were in just today's session for most of the year, nobody's going to want to play this defense this year.
No question about it. Game ball for you? I'm
going to go in two directions. We just raved about the interior of the defensive line, but I'm going to go with Eric Cush, center. It's kind of difficult right now, without the pads to really judge that. But from what I saw in terms of footwork, how well he maintained blocks, and the firmness of his base, of his feet, man, he was really good today. He was good in teamwork, while some other guys next to him struggled at still, that right guard position still in flux. Eric was very good as the second-string center, and he was good in one-on-ones. And I think he's the most reliable backup you have right now. And yeah, it's only day one. They have any pads on, but he looked really good. That's where I'll go.
Shocking that you went with a hog molly
Hey, listen.
To get going.
I took a trip around the field, in between the fields, just to go watch their one-on-ones while everyone else is watching 7-on-7, because that's where I do my dirty work.
My game ball, obviously, you could have named it today. You could have named it the Odell Award. But Duke Johnson.
Yeah.
He's a guy that showed up today, and there's been a lot of controversy. There's been a lot of things swirling around. He's had a tumultuous summer, to say the least, and spring for that matter. Man showed up. Man was here on Monday.
Yeah.
Was out on the field today. I liked what I saw. Put everything to the side. Put whatever's going on with his contract and everything else, went about his business, and did a really nice job, I thought, today. Even on special teams, we saw a little bit.
And you know what? The fans still love him, too.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, yeah. There was a lot of Duke chants as soon as he got out there. And also, look, there's a little bit of a window of opportunity for him, because we know Kareem Hunt's going to be out for the first 8 games, but he's also not playing right now because of a groin injury. So if we look at those details and then you see how many reps he got today, he should be pretty encouraged. I mean, he's getting the ball a lot.
All right, those are today's takeaways and game balls.